guys, it's Christina, the Happy Heretic, and I have been talking for probably a solid week about getting my African Nightcrawlers in. And I did, and I just filmed 15 minutes of the unboxing and was watching it back, which I try to do in case I've missed something, and my home address was all over it. We're going to do this again, only not so much with the straight out of the box, but I will tell you the same things I said the first time because I think it's important. First of all, I got them from Midwest Worms in Conway, Missouri, and let's see, a pound of African Nightcrawlers is about $45. So the great thing about it is, even though I won't be ordering more red wigglers from them, just so you guys can see what was in there, because they reproduce, I've gotten my red wigglers reproduce like crazy. I have no desire or need to buy any more, but they were packed in this, and the box, which is where I screwed up last time, so let me just show you on a side that does not have my home address, was labeled live worms, had air holes all the way around it. I was really, really pleased. It got here very quickly after I got the notification that it had shipped, which is very, very different than anything I've ordered before. I think this is my third order of worms. I ordered 2 orders of red wigglers from 2 different places. And so anyway, the bin that I was getting ready for them is still prepping. And because the other ones took so long to come in, I did not think these were going to get here. And what you're missing, other than my home address, is me freaking out opening it. Because for some reason, I don't know what I thought these things were going to be like. I had visions of them being, a foot long and jumping out at me. I have no idea what happened. I handle my worms all the time. It was really funny, and I hate you miss it. Maybe I can figure out how to get a clip in here or something. So what I did was I just took a ton of, I had already cut up, I usually keep cardboard cut up, and so I soaked that in non-chlorinated water. I put it outside. I have water outside it is from the tap, but it sits out there in the heat of the sun for days at a time, and I use it for things that I don't want to kill. So anyway, so I dumped some water in there and soaked that, and then they came packed in coconut coir or peat. My guess is peat. My coconut coir has longer fibers, but I could be wrong. But they came out healthy, happy, very, very active. And I want you guys, oh my gosh, this one's way bigger than the one I showed you in the other video. Come out, come out. Hang on, I don't want to hurt. But you can see, let me see. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Look at the size of that worm. This is fantastic. I am very, very excited about my African Nightcrawlers, I gotta tell you. Okay, you get back in there. My hands are clean. So I panicked. They're in this little bitty bin. There's a pound of them here. I don't know how many there are, but there was at least a pound in here. I cannot tell you how pleased I am by this order. And I got I had already used all my frozen food, all my pre-mixed food on the 2 bins outside of my red wigglers. And again, didn't think they were going to be here today. So I had been collecting material to make a new batch, but all that's in it is the green leafy vegetables, kitchen scraps, essentially. And I don't usually feed just kitchen scraps, but in an emergency, you do what you've got to do. And I've got them all in one corner. First of all, because they're cold. Second of all, I like to give my worms options about where they go. And this is such a small bin. They don't have the option of getting away from things if you mix everything all in. Everything in here is completely pH neutral, except for that. So that's over there in the corner. And it's, because it was frozen and in reasonably small pieces, I crushed it up when I put it in here, it will break down super quickly. And these little guys, that is nowhere near enough food for them. But I just wanted to give them a little bit, and I'll watch what they do. I want them to settle in, because in another, probably tomorrow, if I can find my pH tester, I'll test the bin tonight. Otherwise, I'm gonna give it one more day and put them in the big 55-gallon tomorrow. And they will be much, much happier, Much, much happier. But look how active these guys are. They don't like the light. So, like I said, I know you guys have been hearing me talk about them, and African Nightcrawlers are faster composters than red wigglers because they're so much bigger and they consume much more. That's why I was saying this is nowhere near enough food. I put more than that. Well, I have more than this, more worms than this in my other bins, but that's not going to be enough, and I'm already planning. Normally what I would do is, and I will do it after the video, I'm going to grind up all the green leafy vegetables, add coffee grounds, try to find my pulverized eggshell. And people will tell you, and it's true, you can throw entire eggs, just break open your egg, use it, and then just throw the shells in there for your plants or your worms. The problem is that's not bioavailable yet. Nothing can use it yet. It's not broken down enough. So I pulverize mine, and I notice throughout when I start harvesting some of the material out of my other worm bin, little tiny pieces, just specks that they have moved all the way through, and it's a very good source of grit for them as well. So are the coffee grounds. So I'll put, and usually I have, lately, in the past probably 3 weeks, I've had some bananas that were overripe and banana peels because Paul has been making me banana bread and I'm out right now, I think. And even if I had them, they're not ripe enough to use. So these guys are gonna have to do without the banana for probably almost a week. These are the only ones that haven't completely broken up and gone down into the substrate. But it's been, I was so excited, and I'm so happy I did this, trying to make sure everybody's alive. I will say that about 99.9, a baby one, 99.9% of them are. You're a little guy. Now you don't want to come out, okay. Big guys up here. Look, they are so much more active than my red wigglers. They're going to be very, very, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to drill holes in the top and the lid. But I don't want to drill with them in it either. So these totes are not that expensive. I'm going to have to drill holes in the top because I couldn't leave them in the container in what they came in any longer. I didn't know what the moisture content was. I didn't know how hot they were. I didn't know how much air they had. And even though, $45 is not, a ton of money, I also don't want to kill them. And the better you treat your worms, the better your worms will treat you. They will process more food. They will procreate like crazy. And in here, this is big enough for them. They could live in here, and they would process a ton of food, and they would turn this material into compost very, very fast. But they will not reproduce at the rate I want them to if they don't have enough room and enough resources. So, you may only want a bin this big, and put it up in your closet, put it under your bed, put it in a spare room, put it anywhere you want to. But just keep in mind that if it's overpopulated and they don't have enough resources, composting worms will regulate their own population. So they won't lay as many eggs, the older ones, when they die off. They just won't continue to multiply at the same rate. I'm not saying they won't lay cocoons, they will. But it won't be at the rate that I want them to. I'm trying to learn to optimize all of the different processes. Look at you, you're so big. It's very distracting. Come on out. They're so much bigger than my red wigglers. Come on out. You don't want to. And that is why a lot of people seem to be moving from red wigglers. I don't mean not having red wigglers, but it's kind of like a step up. And because they're a little bit more difficult to keep happy and healthy, my understanding is that they can be runners, which is why this will have a lid. And until I'm very, very, very comfortable with their environment, they will always have a lid. My red wigglers don't. They're outside. Even when they were inside, they didn't have a lid unless I just wanted to put it on. They have a lid. I just don't keep it on there. So they get lots of aeration, and beneficial bugs outside get into their bin. But I think red wigglers are more active. And this is not a big enough container. They would be all over the floor and they would die. So we're not going to do that. and I will just watch them and see how they behave before I risk, even in their 55-gallon bin, before I risk not having a lid to the bin. So it's pretty cool. There's only one more kind of worm I want, although I'm going to spend a lot of time with these before I get them, because I try to really pay attention. You know, what makes them happy? Where do I find them in the bin? Are they fairly evenly distributed? How quickly do they process the material? What foods do they, choose to eat more quickly? When I compost, I am doing vermicomposting. I'm not just after the castings. So my intention is anytime I reach into my bin, when I pull aside bedding, and I push bedding aside, and I reach in, what material do I get? What is its quality? See, this is just, like I said, peat or coconut coir, and I'm throwing it all over my living room right now. That's just peat or coconut coir. Doesn't stick together, doesn't have really anything in it. It's just bedding. But what I watch to see is how quickly can I feel the texture change, the color change. And these guys, as far as why people are adding them to their composting efforts, these guys process a lot more material and more quickly. And I've seen it said both ways. I've seen people say that they have both and the castings are the same size. And I've seen other sites say, and I try to go to universities and extension offices and places like that. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, just like I'm sure you guys do. But guys, verify. Trust but verify. Go look at some scientific evidence for the various things that we're told. Don't just believe it because somebody on YouTube, including myself, tells you something. A lot of people will tell you, do not put citrus, do not put onions, do not put meat, do not put, what are the other forbidden foods? Anything acidic, anything spicy, anything, any meat products or byproducts. And there are reasons for those, but they never seem to say it. They almost act as if it will kill your worms. In a size like this, I absolutely would not add anything but the most bland material, because again, the worms don't have room to get around whatever it is. So, but in my 55-gallon, I'd throw a whole onion in there, not think anything about it. I haven't. But one of the biggest reasons people say that is it stinks. But if you bury it under, 6 inches of bedding down into the soil, once it breaks down, your worms will eat it just fine. It will not hurt them. And again, only if you have a very large bed. I don't take any risks with them. If they can't get away from something, it doesn't go in. So, compost. What I put in here, I never put anything in here that I wouldn't want in my garden. So, if it was alive, it's going to make good compost. Even if the worms have not completely processed something, once this completely breaks down, the browns and the greens, and be careful about that, please. The browns and the greens, then that's compost anyway. The worms simply, they process it, which is good. It goes through their gut, goes through their entire system. And I read the other day that no known human pathogen can survive in a worm gut. I don't take a lot of risk with what I put in there, because how do I know if something has been processed or not? But I know that the soil I pull out when it's all done is good compost, even if I pull out a handful that the worms have not processed. That's unlikely in my bins, but a lot of people put a bin maybe twice this big in their closet, feed it once a week or twice a month, and then in a year they harvest. That is not my intention. Just like my hot compost pile outside, I want my worm bins to produce something that I can use very, very quickly. So what I look at for both systems is 4 to 6 weeks. That allows anything in my hot compost pile that's going to get hot, it has gotten hot. I monitor the temperature, I monitor the moisture, I turn it regularly, it stays aerated. Right now it's covered because we're going on week 2 and it looks like we're going to go 3 to 4 weeks total with no rain at all. And I don't want it to rain on my compost pile anyway. That washes all your hard work away. Don't do that. If it's going to rain, throw something over it. But I want to be able to use it at least as mulch within 4 or 5 weeks. And this, my worm bins, let's just say I had and I did the other day, had a little emergency with my African violets, and they really needed a boost. And I'm trying not to use, oh, look at the size of this one. Fertilizer. That's a fat boy. I need to get all of them plumped up, full size, happy, and breeding. Oh, anyway, so I want to be able to pull a handful out of either bin very quickly and use it as a really rich, good, healthy, moisture-holding mulch. At the very least, see, look at you already trying to climb up the side. At the very least, and a good compost when it's done. Now, obviously, the stuff you do over, 6 months to a year, is that going to be more perfect? No, it's not. Nothing's more perfect. It's either perfect or it's not. Is that going to be more better? It's going to be more better. But I put such a variety of things. And let me see if I can tell you what's in my large bin. I started with lots and lots and lots of this. And sorry, worms. The worms love it. Love it so much. Coconut coir, black cow, which is composted cow manure. It's really just filler, but it's got a lot of sand in it, and if you're buying it, you need to know that it has like a lot. It's got a good bit of sand, but that's good grit for them, and it adds to the structure of the soil. So black cow, coconut coir, paper, cardboard, paper towels, napkins, paper plates, paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls. So that's the paper, newspaper, junk mail, things like that. Shredded cardboard, not just the little thin brown paper, but the actual, I wonder if I have any in here. I don't have any close at hand, but cardboard boxes like this came in, and the corrugated cardboard, which helps with water, moisture retention, air, and keeps it kind of light so they go in and out it all the time. And so food scraps, animal hair. When you sweep your floor, what you're sweeping up usually is dirt, sand, hair, skin cells, maybe some pollen if it's spring, just that sort of thing. That's really and all of that can go in there. Vacuum cleaner, dust pan waste, coffee grounds, eggshells. What else do we throw in there? When I trim the dogs, the pet fur goes in there. I never go into my big bin and pull up a clump of animal fur, puppy fur, that doesn't have worms all in it. It takes forever to break it down, but that's fine. When I harvest from one side, I usually I just move all the big pieces over to one side, and then I pick the big pieces out of this side and turn it over, aerate it, and then they all move over here, because believe it or not, the grosser and more things you have, the better they like it. They have deserted almost, not completely, but they have migrated from the mostly finished product on the left side, my bread wigglers have, on the left side of my bin, and now they're over here working this great big mass on the other side, which is good because I have to harvest next week. And I think I mentioned that 3 people are going to get samples of the worm compost to try out. They've all promised to tell me the condition in which it arrived. Is it moist or is it dried out? What's the, when you squeeze it, does the structure hold just a little bit? You don't want it hard, but you want it to hold just a little bit. How's the color? Then they're gonna, so that will tell me how it shipped. And then they've all agreed to use it and tell me if they see any results from it. I will say, for the most part, if you've got a perfectly healthy plant in perfectly healthy soil, you're just adding to it and keeping it that way. You're probably not going to see a great big boost, but most people don't have perfect soil to begin with. A lot of people have dirt, and dirt is dead. So I was trying to see how long it took this big mass, and it was a huge mass, and now it's a much smaller one, to move down. These are way more fun. I feel like a trader. I was going to say they're a little bit more fun. You're just a little bit more fun. My red wigglers can't hear me. Than the red wigglers, because they're so much more active. So I'm going to play with the worms and make sure they have enough moisture and get a lid on them, cover them up so this is clear, and I don't want them exposed to so much light. They don't like it at all. But I know you guys were wondering, what do the African night crawlers look like? And now you know. Hi, big guy. Come out. No? I cannot wait to start getting cocoons. That's one of the metrics that I use, the benchmarks that I use to determine how healthy my bin is. It's how fast are they reproducing. So that's it from The Happy Heretic. Like it if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see what crazy thing I'm up to on any given day. And don't forget to hit the bell, because I will be doing updates and comparisons on the African night crawlers versus the red wigglers and how they're performing and things like that. So thanks, you guys. Have a great day.